Hi, people. I know it's been a long time since my last video, so I apologize. As I'm pretty much sure you can understand, it's been a rough 6 months. It's almost 6 months. In the latter part of March, it'll be 6 months since the events of my last video, and it's been tough, but we're working through it. I want to sincerely thank all of you, either through messenger or personal messages, who have taken the time to comment on the video and express your thoughts, and I appreciate it, and I pass them along to the family, and it's greatly appreciated, and so a thank you to all involved. As we say, we should meet on better occasions. Anyway, but I thank you again. Came to the realization that September of this year, 2023, will mark the 40th anniversary of me walking into Westwood. 40 years. Long time. And some of you who I met as 14-year-olds are now like age. And so at 40, you're 14, you're now 54. That's scary. And some of the students, the older students that I met when I walked in, were like 17, 18 years old. Okay, so they're close to 60, if you can imagine. 60? Am I doing the math right? There's 18. Yeah, they'd be about 58, 57 years old right now. Close to 60. That's scary. When I started there, I was 29 years old, and I was the youngest head of music in the entire board. And and so now I'm a year and a half away from 70. So that's how time flies. And I got a lot of very, very nice remarks from students and teachers and friends that I haven't seen in years. Some students remember me bringing Alyssa into the school in 1983. She was a year old. In fact, Mrs. Franz, who became head secretary at Westwood and Lincoln, when she came to the school when she was 30, Mrs. Franz almost, she sat down. She says, "I remember you as a 1-year-old." Well, things happen in time. You can't predict the future. And Alyssa's passing almost 6 months ago. It's a realization, and this is again a public service announcement. Don't want to do this too often, but it's important. People out there, make appointments. Go to see your doctor. Make yourself aware of what's going on. Get the blood work done. If you need to get other tests, hey, if you guys are the older guys and you're now in your mid-50s, okay, then now is the time to head to the doctor and make sure your health is on the right track. Okay? Don't be stoic. Don't be, it's my life and nothing. Listen, I can tell you from first-hand experience, when someone passes away at 40, that's half a lifetime. You don't have to do that. Just get yourself looked after, get the blood work done, get x-rays done, whatever tests, You have tests, get them done. You have to go for blood work, get it done. You have to an ultrasound, get it done. There's no excuse. It's not like in the States where you have to pay money for this test, for that test, for this test, for x-rays, for whatever. Get stuff done. Get it looked after. Don't be a fool. All right? Noticing through the Facebook and comments and everything, there's been a lot of people who have passed away in the past year alone who were, in my opinion, still too young. Way too young. So take it from me, take it from my personal experience, and I'm a living proof that vaccines work. I ended up getting COVID. I've had the 4 basic vaccines, plus 2 more, plus Evusheld, which is what they give people with reduced immune system. So I got that. So I've had 7 different vaccines. Then I got COVID, and all I got out of it was a bad headache. That's it, a bad headache. So vaccines work. I know that there are those of you out there who would have a tendency to say, it's a false narrative, it doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. It does work. I wouldn't be here, for sure, with all the stuff I have going on. I'm collecting all the issues. But anyway, take it from me. You may see a couple of cats floating around. They may appear at some point. So my 2 cats are down here and exploring. And one of them's already been here on the desk and looking at the mic and looking at everything. Yeah, so this isn't going to be a long one. I'll save it for later. But I think I've told the story. I'll tell it again anyway. The first day I walked into Westwood, the head secretary there was... there's a tail. The head secretary was Mrs. Yamada. The principal was Mr. Costigan, I believe. And Mrs. Yamada said, welcome to Westwood. I hope I'm not... it's common knowledge with this. She said, welcome to Westwood, and I hope you have a very good year. It's a wonderful school. Boy, she was right about that. And I said, thank you. And she said, my daughter's in your class, in your grade 10 class. Cool, excellent. And she plays saxophone. Okay. And she's deaf. And I said, my face said, okay. My brain went into overdrive. Okay, what do? I've never taught a deaf student before in music class. And at that time, the music room was at the very back of the school, next to the pool, with the one window that opened at the back for the marijuana smoking area. That's another story. So on my way from the front office all the way past the gym to the music room where it was at that time, I had to think something up. So I got to the room and we sorted out all the instruments and who played what and so on and so forth. And how, this gentleman played bass, this gentleman played drums, this one played, whatever. So we went through the room, and I spoke with all the students, and they were chatting, and, oh, you're the new teacher. Yes. Well, we had the old teacher, and comments followed, which were accurate. I hope you're nicer than him. Maybe not, And I couldn't figure out which one might be the daughter. Then when I spoke with her, I could tell. That she was speaking perfectly. You couldn't tell that there was a hearing problem there, but I could tell, because a lot of friends of mine are hearing impaired, and so even back then. And so she played sax, and we went around the room and we did some music, and this is the very first day I'm in the school. And we started playing, and then I said, okay, here's a solution. So I put the bass amp and the drums side by side. Then I took this girl's chair and put one back leg against the bass amp and one back leg against the bass drum. And I told the two guys that were playing that they better play properly because this girl's mark depended on it. If they screwed up, time-wise, she would screw up, and it would not be a good situation. And it worked out perfectly. And you talk about lateral thinking. This is what lateral thinking is. Taking stuff from outside the box and putting it together. And it worked. It worked. So that was my first day. And then I met one teacher who was retiring that year. And he said, I hope you have a long career here, which I did. And he said, I've been in the school since it opened, which was 67. So that would have been about 15 years that I came in. And before that, he had taught at other schools. Marcus Clutie was his name. Don't think anybody online would know who he was. But Marcus Clutie was a geography teacher, science teacher, I forget what he was. And he went out of his way to welcome me and to make sure that I knew that this was, really good place. The students are marvelous. The staff is marvelous. And he was right. And that's where I stayed for 31 years. He was absolutely right, And I've had battles with other people for whom Westwood back then had a bit of a reputation and probably still does under Lincoln. And I've gone in music teacher association thingies or stuff where I've had to go to the board offices for whatever purpose. And somebody will say, oh, you're from Westwood, or oh, you're from Lincoln. And the urge to change their face, remove their nose and stick it up their butts was something that I thought about seriously, but then that doesn't look good on your record, and it's damaging and that sort of thing. So, but that we went hammer and tong with a lot of people who just didn't understand the scenario and the community, which I love to this day. Malton is a wonderful community, and I know people have moved away, and I know students have bad things to say about Malton. Oh, they got this and they got that, and it's this and it's that. Listen, it's only a community and a school is only as good as the people in it. And in every school, you take a look what's happening now in some of the newer schools like Brathwaite. And the one up in like West Brampton, I forgot some of the names of some of these schools, and the problems that they're having. Okay, it's just the nature of the beast. It's the nature of the community, unfortunately. But when you get over that, those are isolated cases, and the people I met in Malton, good-hearted people, the students that I met. And as I mentioned to you before, from 1983, students change as the community changes. So you have, when I got there, it was primarily Italian, West Indian, some Scottish, some English, and it was a mix. In fact, we had a vice principal who had to read names at commencement, and a lot of names were Italian. And the game was how much could he, not intentionally, how much could he butcher the Italian names. And then years later, when the community became Tamil, and Tamil names run from roughly there to there, and that's only part of the name. And again, a wonderful, wonderful kids, terrific kids. And one student that I had, and I said, "What's your full name?" He said, "It'll not fit on a piece of paper." I said, "Write it on the board." And he started at the extreme left side of the board. And he wrote it right across the board, and it went almost to the end. And I said, "I'm not even going to ask you to pronounce it. How does it fit on a legal document?" He says, "It doesn't. We have legal names that are a little bit shortened so that they fit, I guess. I don't know." But one of the other vice principals had to read those names as they crossed the stage. And, oh my God. Oh, the butchering that went on. Oh, it was hack and slash and blood on the walls. Anyway, I have nothing but good memories from my 31 years at the school, and met wonderful, wonderful people, phenomenal teachers. Okay. Oh, in every teaching group, in every industry, if you work in an office, there's always that one guy, right? If you work in a store, there's always that one person. If you're a teacher, there's always that one teacher. But those are isolated cases. I mean, by and large, the teachers that I met are dedicated. They were dedicated. They would go the extra mile for people. And I would think of who would I name? I'd be here for another 2 hours. I'm here for 16 minutes already. Way too many names that I would put up on a wall. And that's where the school and the system and the board and tradition basically fail. They'll put students' names on the board, but they don't put teachers' names on the board. Thankfully, in the school, the drama room, last I was there, was named the Terry Slater Studio. I don't think there's a better candidate for that. Mr. Slater was one of these teachers. He taught at Morning Star Secondary, and he came over when we got everybody over in 2000. And there wasn't a more wonderful character, dedicated, and of course he got upset when students didn't share that same dedication. But that's okay. Not all of your customers, if you work in a store, or if you work at Tim Hortons, I'm sure you've found at least one person coming in and being a Karen, right? I'm thankful that I don't work at Tim Hortons. Actually, I'm thankful. Otherwise, I'd be in jail. I'd be in jail. I mean, I would be ripping these guys' larynxes out if they started opening up. So I'd be fired several times. But it's teaching is a tough business. Not all of your students are going to be golden. My goal was to make the toughest student, to work with that kind of student. Not all teachers could do that, but Slater was golden, absolutely golden. Very, very few teachers were natural. The way you saw him in class was the way he was in the hall, was the way he was. And that guy has a studio named after him, and it's deserving. There's one of them. That's Mochi. Mochi wants to say hi. Hi. What you doing? Yeah, I know. Okay. There's a lot of good teachers that are still there, that are marvelous. Too many to name. I'm pretty sure some of them, it's an embarrassing thing for me to start throwing names around. I don't want to do that. But it was my good fortune to work with wonderful people, to work with thousands upon thousands of wonderful students, to work with administration, and to work with the community that believed in itself. Malton is still one of the greatest places in the Metro Toronto area. It's got its issues. All areas have their issues. The area I live in has its issues. So issues are issues. That's the way it was. You lived 300 years ago, you'd be living in a village somewhere in Europe that gets raided from the east and gets raided from the west. And like the movie Men in Tights, where the Robin Hood's men or somebody sets a group of villagers roofs on fire, and the villagers come out and say, "Could you stop doing that?" You know, every neighborhood has its issues, but within that neighborhood are wonderful people. Too many for me to mention, and my roots go very deep still in Malton. I haven't been back for a while, and most of it has become of issues and COVID and whatever's been happening. But I wish everybody well. Get yourselves looked after. Don't be foolish. People rely on you. Um, uh, it's important, you know. For those of you who are neglectful in that, or you're stoic, I'll be okay. I just have to drink this herbal brew of hemlock and whatever. Yeah, don't do that. Anyway, again, I thank everybody for their comments, for their thoughts. It's been a really tough area, and now we're entering April. April is my birthday, Benji's birthday, and Alyssa's birthday. And then May 1st is Evan's birthday. And so that's going to be a particularly, and it's also Passover, where Alyssa would usually get involved, do some cooking, do this, do that. And having the empty chair at the table, let me tell you, which is why I say get yourselves looked after. I can't repeat that enough. Anyway, thank you to everybody. The support is so appreciated. You have no idea. Anyway, hopefully next time I'll be funnier and more entertaining and hopefully better looking. Take care.